What's going on, Bachelor Nation? I decided that I would do a little bit of a ranking this week. We're pretty far into the season. I was kind of hoping there was going to be a rose ceremony this week, but instead we ended with more drama. What a shocker, eh? And yeah, I decided I wanted to do some rankings, so let's get into it. Just a little disclaimer of my process and what's going on here. This isn't really like my favorites. I mean, obviously my bias has influenced the list a little bit, but these are the people and the rankings that I feel are have the best chance of getting the final rose at the end of the show and ending up with Peter. So let's get into it. In 16th place, we have Savannah. Savannah, all I really remember about you so far this season is in the pillow fight competition, you had to wear the muumuu. I mean, I don't really know anything else about you. Like, does anybody else? Like, she gets maybe on the screen once or twice. We're not even getting sound bites from her in the diary room. Yeah, Savannah, I just don't see you taking home the final rose. And 15, we have Lexi. Lexi came in early in the season with that shiny red sports car, and we really haven't seen much from her since. She's always there, and that's about all I can say for her. I haven't seen many interactions with her and Peter. We had that little cheesy thing where Peter was like, "Oh, who are you? What's your name?" And he's like, "Yeah, right, I remember. I got you this little tiny red toy car." But Lexi, you're just not in the running. I'm sorry. 14th, I have Kiarra. And Kiarra's much the same story. Like, besides her hair, which I think is her most distinguishing quality, I really don't know anything about her. Kiarra, I have no clue. Like, you're on the show, we're aware of that. And if you didn't have your hair that makes you just like stand out in a crowd, I wouldn't even notice you were on the show. And you know what? I have to say our number 14, or pardon me, 13, Deandra, is pretty much in the same boat. Really, all these bottom four, Deandra, Kiarra, Lexi, and Savannah, I just don't really see them as having any sort of shot. And I kind of think that they're probably at risk of being our next eliminations at our next rose ceremony. All right, let's get into a little people I view as having at least a little bit of a chance. In 12th, I have Natasha. She's very outspoken. We saw at the end of last episode, she really, well, her and Deandra really came after Peter on the Alayah returning to the house and how disrespectful it was to them. And I'm really enjoying Natasha. I don't think she really has a chance of getting the final rose, but I feel like we're definitely going to see her in Bachelor in Paradise for maybe 1, 2 seasons in the future. I just think that she is a character. She's interesting. I just don't see any sort of connection between her and Peter. Number 11, the most controversial person on the show. She was off last week, back this week, Alayah. With how galvanized the rest of the women are against Alayah, I just don't see her lasting very long here right now. Because there is like major friction in the house, like we saw with Victoria P. And like Victoria P seemed pissed at Peter and ready to just stomp out of the door all over Alayah. We have the rest of the house revolting against Peter, like I mentioned before. Deandra and Natasha really went after Peter at the cocktail party before the rose ceremony. Alayah, I just don't think you have a legitimate chance. I don't think you're here for the right reasons any longer. I think your only reason is really gaining Instagram followers, which you did a pretty good job of this week. And I just don't even think that you really want Peter to pick you at the end of this. In 10th, we have the other half of the Alayah versus Victoria P clash, and that's Victoria P. In my opinion, Victoria P's chances took a major fall this week. And it really comes down to just what she said. Peter, at least his actions say that he doesn't trust her. Victoria P and Peter seemed like they had a good connection, but I personally have always felt that those two together, they're always just going through the actions of what they think they should be doing to progress their relationship. But I don't think there's actually much of a backbone of a relationship there. I might be in the minority on that opinion, but yeah, I have Victoria P as my number 10. Number 9, we have Shiann. There has been a preview that they've shown throughout the season that does show Shiann with Peter further along, so I'm thinking that she at least survives this next rose ceremony and gets some quality time with Peter. How far that gets her, we don't know. I haven't seen a great connection between the two, but there definitely is something there. Peter seems like he really likes football, and Shiann was definitely the most badass at football, so that's got to be points in her favor, right? Also, Shiann is really struggling on the Instagram, so if you got a like sitting around, a follow sitting around, go over to Instagram, look her up, and give her a follow. I feel bad for her. There were 30 women on the show. There's only 16 left, and Shiann is still only has the 29th most followers out of all the contestants that appeared on the show. Come on, she's in the top half, and she's going to continue further, and she has the least amount of followers. All right, moving on. Number 8, someone whose face is becoming my personal favorite, Mykenna. Her reactions are just insane. I love it. The camera guy just can't help but lock the camera onto Mykenna's face anytime there's any sort of drama going on, because her face just is telling stories of what all us fans are feeling, and obviously what she's been feeling in the moment. Earlier in the season, we did see Mykenna and Peter at least seem like they had a very strong connection, but there's been absolutely nothing to develop that since then. So I don't really know where those two stand. And with all the drama in the house, I think it's going to be very hard for her to kind of get back in favor with Peter and rekindle that relationship and have her and see her go very far in the show. Number 7, I'll admit maybe this one's a little bit of a stretch here, but I've just really been loving Tammy lately. She's funny, she's entertaining, and yeah, she might not have much of a relationship with Peter, but I'm just praying she stays on the show. So maybe this is my little bit of a cheater pick for the week. But yeah, I've got Tammy at number 7. And from here on, I think the top 6 are the 6 women that I'm thinking are most likely to end up with Peter at the end. I'd be surprised if it was someone outside of these 6 women. And I think they have the strongest bonds. I think they're going to go the farthest. And I'm thinking right now that this is probably going to be our top 6. So in 6, we have Sydney. I don't like Sydney, okay? I'll just be honest straight out with you. Right from the start of the show, I haven't liked Sydney. But I feel like Peter really trusts her. Peter really has a strong connection with her, and I can see her lasting right down to the end. Now, out of these 6 women who are left, she is clearly my least favorite. But we've got Sydney, number 6. And the 5, this one may also maybe a little bit of a stretch, but Victoria F. She's our Instagram winner for the week. Look at that. She had the most, I think she had almost triple, or maybe only double the next woman's most gain for the week. I mean, she was locked in tons and tons and tons of drama. And I think that her level of drama and how it's overflowed into Alayah returning, with Alayah outing her as having dated the musical guest, is not going to bode well with her. I don't see Victoria F getting the final rose, but I do feel like she's going to make it very far here. And yeah, Victoria F 5th. 4th place is a little bit of a shocker for me. I have Kelsey at fourth, and up before this week, I wouldn't have even had her in the top half for having a chance to get the final rose. And I felt she really skyrocketed this week. I was very impressed by her on her date. She didn't even seem like the same person to me. And I felt like with all the drama that was surrounded the other two dates with Victoria F. and Chase Rice and Alayah returning on the group date, that Kelsey ends up being the only person on the show who advanced their relationship with Peter this week. And I really felt like their connection skyrocketed right to the top, and I was actually tempted to place her higher, but with there just being so much mass amounts of drama, I'm sticking with my initial opinion on the top three for the foreseeable future until we see like some actual interaction with everybody and things get a little bit more serious between Peter and the women. But anyways, let's get into that top three. In three, we have Kelley. We all know the story. Kelley and Peter met before The Bachelor started airing, and I think that little connection they had from before has really propelled her to be one of the favorites on the show. One of my big fears with Kelley is that at some point she's going to get fed up with this process and leave. I don't know if that's definitely going to happen, but I think that she's a candidate for it. You can see how she reacts when she's on a group date and Peter gives the rose to somebody else. It's like she looks very heartbroken and almost takes it as like a direct blow against her. And not all the other women react that way. And it just doesn't really seem like the whole Bachelor process is something that Kelley is totally buying into. I still think that they have a good relationship and a strong connection. So I'm going to leave her at number three, but she's definitely a clear third out of our top three. All right, now at number two, we have Hannah Ann. I'm not a huge fan of Hannah Ann. I think that drama does kind of seem to find her, and at some point you just can't blame other people for her being involved in the drama. At some point you have to point the finger at her a little bit. Nothing too crazy when it comes to Hannah Ann in the drama department, but it's still hanging around. Like, she was part of the Champagne Gate, and I mean, hopefully we're done with that now, but it was a ridiculous thing and, kind of a negative. But anyways, back to Peter and Hannah Ann. I really felt like they had a very strong first connection from the initial rose party. I mean, she got the first impression rose, and I really feel that that connection from that night is still carrying that relationship this deep in the show. I mean, there's just been so much drama with everything that nobody's really had a chance to develop relationships with Peter. So Hannah Ann, our number two. And also back to strong first impressions, our number one, Madison. Madison had that magical first date with Peter, went to go watch Peter's parents renew their vows. And when you see Peter look at Madison, he looks like a man who is fully invested in someone. I don't always see Madison reciprocating that, but that has slowly grown as we've progressed in the season. Each week we usually only get one or two little glimpses of Peter and Madison together, but besides their whole thing of just mashing their faces together when they talk, you can really start to see that there's a connection there, and you have to say Madison is the number one right now. All right, thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun ranking everything and kind of going through my thoughts on everyone. If you liked it, let me know, and come back next week for more Bachelor content. Later.